Hello, this is Teresa. I'm back with another tutorial for Dare to be Artsy. I'll be sharing one of the new release stamp sets that will be available later in January, and will also show one of the cards I made using the stamp set in doing a masking technique. So I've pre-selected some ink colors. A couple of them are from the Dare to be Artsy lines that I was just making sure I had a color that actually matched or closely matched the colors that I used when I Copic colored my little puppy there off to the left side. So I'm using some purple tape, and I'm going to be creating a section here so that I can mask it from the rest of the card. And then I'm going to use my little sponge daubers that I've already pulled out next to each one of the ink pads, and I'll start adding some color in those spaces. Now I find that when I'm coloring in a small space like this, that something like a sponge dauber works best for me. However, you can certainly use whatever tool that you may have in your stash, whether that's a stencil brush or even another type of ink blending tool, or even taking the ink pad directly to the paper. I mean, it's really totally up to you how you want to do it, just whatever works for you. And like I said, these work really well for me in coloring in small spaces. So I will show you the process of masking off each section, or at least the next section. I won't show it for every different color because that'll get a little bit repetitive. The main thing I do is I just carefully remove that purple tape, and then I'm going to create my second section separate from that first one. And then I'm going to move that top piece of tape so that it completely covers that area where I put down my first color, because I don't want to blend the colors between the sections together. And if there is a little bit too much ink left on the tape, you can always wipe it off with a paper towel before putting it back on the paper. And that's exactly what I'm doing here before putting down the next color, because I was concerned about mixing the colors. So now moving on to my pink color, and at first it tends to look a little bit splotchy, but it does even out as it dries. So don't worry about that. If you're seeing some splotchiness when you're coloring it, chances are it'll do the same. It'll smooth out as it gets some time to dry. I just make sure that I put, a good amount of ink in each section so that it has the best chance of evening out like I'm talking about. So now that I've colored the last section, I'm going to peel away the purple tape, and then you'll get to see all four of the colors together on the panel. And although that looks pretty good, I really wasn't satisfied with the way that looked. And considering this is supposed to be a unicorn card, I felt like it needed a little more, a little extra something. But before I get to that, I'm going to trim down this panel. And I only show trimming that one side, but I do end up trimming it down to an overall size of 4 by 5 1/4. Now I've used the tape and new pieces of tape and set them down just outside the whole colored section. And I'm taking my Versamark ink pad, and I'm making sure to get a good coating of that ink in that colored area. I'm using some holographic embossing powder, and this is what's going to add some extra bling to the card and really bring it to life. So I'm using a coffee filter to catch the extra embossing powder as I shake it off of the card, and then I'll get that cleaned up and get my heat tool and start heating this up. And we'll see the transformation it makes as I go across all the colors. It just really, really becomes very beautiful and vibrant, and I think it's going to be the perfect background for my cute little puppy that I've already colored. And in a few moments, I'm actually going to do something pretty similar as far as the puppy's little unicorn hat and bow to make it coordinate better with this background. So now you can see the beautiful background, how sparkly and shiny it is. And now I'm going to show you what I do with this little puppy critter. I have a Versamark marker, so that helps you to be able to use this on very small areas, like what I'm doing here. I'm just covering up that unicorn horn, and the band, and then I'll do the same thing with the little bow. And that will allow me to add the same embossing powder on top of both those areas, and then use my heat gun to melt that embossing powder. And I've added some double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the puppy to pop it up from the rainbow section. And I'm adding my sentiment, which I also added a little bit of color there at the end using Copic markers. And with that, my card is complete. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I appreciate it so much. And here are a couple of other examples of the other images out of the stamp set. Some of them have these cute bells around their neck. There's one with a Santa hat, and there's one with a birthday hat, and obviously you see the one that looks like Rudolph over here. So this is a set that can be used all year round, not just at Christmas. So I think you might want to check that out. See you next time. And here are some other videos you might want to watch. Thank you.